Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're going to look at something called ManOS, which is short for Mental Operating System. And the idea here is to completely flip the script on self-discipline. Instead of using force, we're going to talk about guidance, about treating your mind less like a machine you command and more like a child that, you need to nurture. Okay, so let's just start with a question that I'm pretty sure has crossed all of our minds at some point. You know the feeling, right? You're trying to start a new workout or learn a skill, maybe finally kick a bad habit, and it just feels like this constant fight, an uphill battle against your own brain. So why? Why does it always feel so hard? Right, and that feeling, that constant fight, brings us to our first big idea, what the source material calls the discipline delusion. It's all about why our usual methods, the just push harder approach, well, why they almost always backfire on us. So here's the thing. When we're stressed out, and trying to start something new is definitely a form of stress, our super rational adult brain kinda takes a back seat. Our basic biology kicks in, and that ancient, primitive part of our mind, it doesn't care about your 5-year plan or your New Year's resolutions. It cares about one thing and one thing only: staying safe. And that's the core conflict, right here. On the left, you've got the old way: force, willpower, grit. But to that primitive brain we were just talking about, that stuff feels like a threat. It feels like our autonomy is being taken away. But on the right, that's the ManOS idea: safety and guidance. You see, if you can remove that feeling of being threatened, well, then there's nothing to resist in the first place. Okay, so this is where it all really clicks into place. This is the big paradigm shift of the whole system. Your mind isn't your enemy. It's more like a child, and what it really needs is gentle guidance. The mind must be guided like a child, not commanded like a machine. I mean, that's really the heart of it all, isn't it? It's a simple idea, but it's a huge shift in perspective. Any system we use for self-improvement that's based on just barking orders at ourselves is, well, it's pretty much set up to fail from the get-go. And this is what the source material calls the cognitive parenting principle. And it makes perfect sense when you think about it. You can't force a child to mature faster, right? You have to create a safe environment for them to learn and develop. You've got to scaffold their learning. It's like you wouldn't just hand someone a guitar and yell, "Play a masterpiece." No, you'd show them one chord, then another. The whole point is to create the conditions for growth, not to demand it. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? How do we put this into practice? Well, that brings us to something called the gentle on-ramp. It's a practical way to start without ever really having a big, scary start. Okay, check this out. The source calls this the temporal architecture, which is kind of a fancy way of saying a timeline for gently coaxing your brain into cooperating. Look at the mind's belief column. For 3 whole days before the official start day, your mind thinks, nope, nothing's happening, we're all good. But look over at the system action column, you are doing things. Tiny, tiny little things. So the action starts now, but the commitment, that's way off in the future. Result, no big, scary start button to freak your brain out. So let's make this real. Say you want to start jogging. The system has these 3 priming phases. 3 days before you start, you do phase 1, familiarity seeding. All you do is maybe Google a good running path nearby. That's it, no pressure. Then the next day, environmental conditioning. You just lay out your running shoes before you go to bed. You're not going for a run. You're just putting shoes on the floor. Then the last day, cognitive soft loading. You read 1 article about good running form. See? Each step is so small, so non-threatening, it's almost impossible to resist. Now, this part is kind of wild. This is a list of things you are literally banned from doing. You are not allowed to announce, "Okay, I've started." You can't track your progress on a spreadsheet. You're not even supposed to let yourself feel proud or guilty about it. And you definitely can't tell anyone. Why? Because all of those things, they turn it into a thing, a big, scary, high-stakes thing, and that just shatters that feeling of safety you've worked so hard to build. So, why does this gentle approach work so well? Why doesn't our brain's internal alarm system go off? Well, that's what we're going to get into next. Why resistance never even gets a chance to start. So that internal resistance, that little voice that says, "Ugh, I don't wanna," it turns out it needs a few specific things to get activated. It needs to feel forced. It needs to feel like our identity is threatened, like, "But I'm not a morning person." And it needs to feel like we're losing our freedom. This whole system is designed very deliberately to remove every single one of those triggers. So resistance just never gets the memo to show up. And that right there is the ultimate goal. The mind doesn't feel tricked or pushed into a corner. It just feels safe. And when you feel psychologically safe, you're willing to cooperate. You're willing to try new things. The engagement, the change, it just starts to happen naturally. No fight required. All right, let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just a clever trick to start one new habit. It's a whole new way of thinking. It's a sustainable principle for life. Guide, don't overpower. And this is so important. I really want you to hear this. If you have ever felt lazy or like you just lack willpower, if you've gone through those cycles of being super motivated and then just crashing, it's not a character flaw. It is a system design failure. That struggle, that burnout, that guilt, it's just a signal that the system you're using is broken, not you. So it really boils down to this one simple, powerful question you can ask yourself at the end of each day. Did I guide my mind today, or did I try to overpower it? And according to this source, the answer to that question, more than anything else, will tell you if what you're doing is actually going to last. And that really brings us full circle. What the mind resists when commanded, it accepts when guided. True, lasting change doesn't come from winning a war against yourself. It comes from becoming a better, more compassionate guide for yourself. It's about replacing that constant internal battle with a kind of gentle self-parenting, and just allowing yourself to grow without all the conflict.